The wait is finally over. The viewers have decided. There's no putting it off any longer. It's time we talk about the Kanto gym leaders and Red from Pokemon Crystal. When remaking their teams, I'm going to keep my Gen 1 changes in mind, so certain new additions to their teams in this video may have stemmed from what I gave them in a previous video for the Red and Blue Gen 1 games. Also, obligatory statement that this video is mainly just theorizing a hard mode if Pokemon ever gave difficulty options for experienced players that no longer really get much of a challenge out of the regular games. Starting off, we've got our good friend Lieutenant Surge. Nowadays he seems to have chilled out a little bit, at least comparing the Gen 2 sprite to his Gen 1 sprite. He sort of gives me a surfer vibe, maybe that's just because of how his sprite is standing. Also, fun fact for you, Lieutenant Surge has a Hyper Potion. Pretty cool. I'm sure that will really save you from all those ground types. At the very least, this is the post game, so surely he has at least something to deal with those grounded mons, right? Okay, well, let's take an actual peek at his team and judge for ourselves. He leads with Raichu at level 44 with the moves Thunderbolt, Thunder, Thunder Wave, and Quick Attack. No abilities, no held items, so this should be simple. First of all, his former ace Raichu has now taken the lead slot. It's Surge's trusted Raichu, he probably wants to start off the battle strong. So the good and the bad is, we have Thunderbolt. Trust me, this shouldn't be noteworthy, but spoilers, no other team member has that. We have Thunder, which is a high risk, high reward move. I don't mind it, but the 30% miss chance is really rough. Thunder Wave, can't really complain there, statusing is really nice no matter what. And Quick Attack is 40 base power, non-stab priority coming from Raichu's base 90 attack. It's not horrible I guess, but when Quick Attack is your coverage move, then that is a bit of a problem. To be fair, electric types are notorious for having bad coverage, so I guess this isn't too surprising. Out second is Electrode at level 40 with the moves Screech, Double Team Swift, and Explosion. So I can see a couple of flaws here. You're walled by ghosts, or I guess just Haunter or Gengar. You've got no electric stab, only normal moves, when it's a special attacker, though at least Screech Explosion can one-shot anything, probably. But Electrode doesn't really have the bulk to set up, just the speed to quickly explode. It's a kind of funny strat, but ultimately I don't think it's too good. And out third is actually an identical Electrode, so it's a strat so nice you have to use twice. Out fourth is Magneton at level 40 with Zap Cannon, Lock On, Double Team, and Swift. Okay, Magneton does have pretty bad move pool to be fair, but seriously, Lock On Zap Cannon? Spend a turn to guarantee the next one hits, and to be fair, Zap Cannon is powerful at base 100 power, but it only has 50% accuracy, though it does still have a guarantee to paralyze. It's gimmicky, but again, I don't think it's that good. For example, if we replace these two moves with Thunderbolt and Thunder Wave, turn 1 the AI could paralyze the trainers straight away and get some benefit out of the turn. Then turn 2, we Thunderbolt at 95 base power. This results in a near identical outcome, the only difference is the turn 1 paralysis and a drop in 5 base power. It also means we can spam Thunderbolt from the point onwards instead of having to roll the dice or wasting a turn using Lock On. And for the rest of the moves, it's Magneton, so its moves are quite bad. Double Team Cheese is always an option most Pokemon have, and eventually with enough Double Team users, the AI will at some point get lucky. And lastly, Swift is just really weak. You couldn't have even given it Tri-Attack, 20 more base power and a chance to do some funky statuses. His ace is Electabuzz at level 46 with Thunder Punch, Thunder, Light Screen, and Quick Attack. I'm sorry to be so mean out of the gate, but Light Screen? That'll save your team from Earthquakes and Digs. To be fair, Electabuzz only would get Reflect via transfer from Gen 1, but I honestly think that is applicable to these guys. They are literally the Gen 1 NPCs after all. Anyway, Thunder Punch is fine, it's just a weaker Thunderbolt. Thunder again is high risk, high reward, and it's fine when used sparingly. Lastly, Quick Attack is just not adding too much again, but I guess it's nice it can hit a ground type for more than 0 damage. Instead it's like 10. I think the big shame here is lack of coverage. Electric types suck with that, but Electabuzz gets a lot of nice options at its disposal. It could have helped carry the team when many of these other electric types only have electric and normal moves that they can use. So here's Surge's team. Electric and normal type moves only, and well, most of the normal moves will do nothing or next to nothing. So Surge still pretty much loses to any ground type instantly. His team is fast, but kinda low leveled, roundabout on par with an Elite 4 member. It is nice he has 5 Pokemon, even if 2 are copy and pasted. Back to his levels though, they are quite low. Lance's ace is level 50, and I can understand why a gym leader would be weaker than the champion, but gameplay wise, it makes this fight, and many of the other gym leaders, fairly easy and a bit underwhelming. Overall his team could be a lot better and needs options for ground types. Let's see what we can do. Surge's lead is still Raichu at level 47, and it's holding the Mystic Water. Has the moves Thunderbolt, Surf, Body Slam, and Thunder Wave. Surf is a bit of a special case move on Raichu, but in both stadium games, Surge has a surfing Raichu. So I think it's fair to give Raichu that move in game. After all, this is hard mode. Also, Mystic Water only boosts the power by 1.1 times, not 1.2 times in this game, but it's still better than nothing. The rest of the moveset is fairly standard. We've got Stab T-Bolt, Body Slam for at least a decent physical option, and Thunder Wave to start spreading statuses early. Out second is Porygon 2 at level 47, holding the leftovers with the moves Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Psychic, and Recover. It's a bulky Pokemon that can make good use of leftovers and Recover. It has T-Bolt for obvious reasons, Ice Beam to help deal with the ground matchup, and Grass types that resist Thunderbolts, and Psychic to deal with its weakness to fighting types. This is a normal type mon with 3 powerful special attacks, coming off of a solid special attack stat. Also, I'm not going to say this every time, but this is one of the Pokemon I gave to Surge in the Gen 1 video. So if you haven't seen that yet, probably best to watch it first, so click the top right corner to watch. But yeah, this should be a nice team member patching up some weak points and providing a generally bulky option to his usually frail and fast team. Next is Electrode at level 48, holding a pink bow with the moves Thunderbolt, Explosion, Reflect, and Light Screen. The plan is simple. T-Bolt Stab, of course, we set up Reflect and Light Screen, and then explode out of there, with the pink bow boosting the power by 1.1 times, effectively making it 550 base power, since Explosion also halves the user's defense. Also, it's funny how in Gen 2 there's 2 items that boost normal type attacks, the pink bow and the polka dot bow. They're identical except for their names, I suppose. But yeah, this guy, I mean, with its speed stat can almost always provide some damage or utility before dying. Not going to be a game winner, but a team player, that's for sure. Out fourth is Magneton at level 48, holding a Magnet, knowing Thunderbolt, Thunder, Tri-Attack, and Toxic. There's no sugarcoating it, Magneton's learn set leaves much to be desired. I've given Thunder to it. Since it has the highest special attack of any electric type, it can deal a ton of damage with it, especially with the Magnet boosting its power. Tri-Attack is pretty bad, but it gives it slight coverage and a chance to spread a bit of status, which is also why I've given it Toxic. Essentially, Toxic the ground types. A nice aspect is Magneton's typing. Steel resists so many types, it's always nice to include one on a team, and with so many mono-electric types out there, it's always a welcomed addition. Lastly, his ace, Electabuzz at level 50, it knows moves Thunderbolt, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Cross Chop, and it's holding the Scope Lens. First of all, Cross Chop is Crystal exclusive, so I suppose if this were Gold and Silver, we'd have something like Rolling Kick instead. That aside, this moveset aims to take advantage of Electabuzz's great coverage, Stab T-Bolt, Ice Punch for the ground and grass types, and Fire Punch again for those grass types, and maybe certain Pokemon like Steelix or Piloswine. Cross Chop helps take on normal type Pokemon and lets Electabuzz hit both sides of the spectrum if it needs to, since its offenses are fairly balanced. Overall, this ace wants to take on as wide of an array of Pokemon as possible. Here's Surge's new team. We've actually used all of the same Pokemon from his original, just replacing one of his double Electrodes with Porygon 2, to help add some type diversity to his team. We have fast Pokemon, slower bulky mons, and a screen setter into Explosion Electrode. It's safe to say Surge intends to give these Johtonians a taste of what Kanto is made of. Sabrina's a psychic trainer, but she says she doesn't like battling. She's been a gym leader for years at this point. Feel free to try pursuing a different career choice. I'm sure you'd be good at doing magic tricks as a street entertainer or something. I mean, you do have psychic abilities after all. She leads with an Espeon at level 46, with Psychic, Swift, Quick Attack, and Sand Attack. Espeon's a solid lead. It's got stats very similar to Alakazam, but trades slight speed and power into more bulk. Which means Stab Psychic, of course, will do a ton to anything not resisting it. The other 3 moves, though, are pretty bad. I'm starting to think Kanto has an obsession with Swift. I get it, Gen 2 movesets can be limited, but this leaves a lot to be desired. At least Sand Attack Cheese could net her some extra turns, maybe. Out second is Mr. Mime at level 46. It knows Psychic, Barrier, Reflect, and Baton Pass. Interesting moveset here. I quite like the Barrier into Baton Pass combo. Getting a +2 in defense is very useful for Mime under Ace, as they're both very frail on the physical side. Reflect then seems a bit like overkill, but at least it does stack with Barrier. A lack of an option to hit Dark and Steels and opposing Psychics is a bit of a problem. However, maybe the last Pokemon, because Sabrina only has 3 for some reason, can deal with them. Well, let's see, it's Alakazam at level 48, with Psychic, Future Sight, Recover, and Reflect. I'm a fan of Recover, especially since we have Barrier Baton Passes, and Reflects to make this mon tank hits and potentially out-heal the damage the player could do with Recover. Future Sight, while being a cool move these days, back in Gen 2 is just really not good. First of all, it has 80 base power, 90% accurate. It is Psychic typed technically, but it is actually typeless, which it means it can hit Dark types now. but it also means it doesn't get stab. So overall, not a good move that only serves the purpose of stopping Zam getting walled completely by psychic resists. Here's Sabrina's team. It's a mono-psychic team where most of its offense is psychic. Literally. I mean, it's fitting I suppose, but she has such few options to deal with her weaknesses, it's a little bit sad. This is Gen 2, where psychic type doesn't equal free win anymore. We need to modernize her team to the new world of Gen 2. Her lead is still Espeon at level 48 and it's holding a Twisted Spoon. Their moves are Psychic, Bite, Hidden Power Fire, and Reflect. I think we have another rare example of me bestowing Hidden Power to an NPC. The only one I think I've done that with is Morty, which I felt fit his character. Again, I feel like Sabrina having Hidden Power makes sense. As such, we'll let them dabble in it a bit. The Bite here tackles with Psychic types, and Hidden Power deals with Steel types and Bug types. Last move in Reflect is to get a fast defense boost up early for the team. Out second is Slowbro at level 48, holding the leftovers. His moves are Surf, Psychic, Thunderwave, and Amnesia. We have the strong dual stabs, Thunderwave to spread some paralysis around and hopefully let Slowbro actually outspeed Pokemon, and Amnesia is to patch up its lower defense stat, all while holding the leftovers to gain 3 turns of healing from full powers or the trainer healing off the paralysis. Third out is Mr. Mime at level 49. It's holding a Miracle Berry and it knows Psychic, Ice Punch, Barrier, and Baton Pass. We've kept the core of its original moveset here the same. In fact, I've only changed Reflect for Ice Punch, which I think the Ice type coverage will serve a much better use than the second move that boosts the same stat. Miracle Berry is Gen 2's version of a Lumberry and is there to help stave off statusing Mime to death if it's allowed time to set up. Fourth is Jinx at level 50, holding the Nevermelt Ice. It knows Psychic, Ice Beam, Hidden Power Grass, and Lovely Kiss. Who would have guessed another special attacker? Jinx's unique type combination and strong Ice Beams boosted by the Nevermelt Ice provide another powerful angle of attack for Sabrina. Hidden Power Grass helps cover Jinx's Rock type weakness, as well as providing an attacking type that doesn't exist anywhere else on her team. Lastly, Lovely Kiss is just a normal type Sleep Powder move, and a decently fast Sleep Powder user can be annoying if they land a few of them in a row. Finally, her ace, Alakazam at level 51, holding a King's Rock, and knowing Psychic, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, and Recover. So I'm being a little bit nasty here. The King's Rock gives Alakazam a 10% chance to flinch the player's Pokemon, assuming it outspeeds, which it probably will. High damage and a good move diversity means that it should be able to hit anything hard and possibly flinch or even status them with the punches. Lastly, Recover, as it's an iconic move on Alakazam, and to be honest, I think it works well if it got Baton Passed by Mr. Mime earlier on. Here's Sabrina's new team. It's the same Pokemon I gave her in the Gen 1 games, but she has her Espeon lead from the Gen 2 games, supporting some different coverage to help deal with her bad matchups, and different strategies not seen before, such as Baton Passing Mr. Mime. It should be an interesting fight for the player at the very least. Is the water type expert Misty. She's not in her gym initially and is having a day outside of Bill's house, because what better place to be, right? There's a toss up whether to sort her team next or Erika's, since both cities are adjacent to Sabrina's home city. So I just went with the one you fight earlier in the Gen 1 games. Also, I ragged on Surge for having a Hyper Potion, but you are not ready for this. Misty has 1 full heal. Yeah, that's odd. All I'm saying is, if they get 1 item, at least make it a full restore. Each of them should have 1 at least. She leads with a Golduck at level 42 with Surf, Psychic, Psych Up, and Disable. Aside from the low level, we have the wannabe Psychic type here. Stab Surf is good, and Psychic is a fair coverage option. Disable, however, while slightly better than Gen 1's Disable, is still only 55% accurate, so not good at all really. Lastly, Psych Up is a move I can sort of respect. It could help, but is niche, and Golduck I think has better options available to it. Not too amazing of a start here. Out second is Quagsire at level 42 with Surf, Earthquake, Amnesia, and Rain Dance. It's got a great typing that nullifies one of the 2 water weaknesses in Electric, but doubles up on its other weakness in Grass. Stat-wise, it's a bit underwhelming. Base 65 special attack Surf isn't doing much. Earthquake is fair enough though. Rain Dance makes sense for a water team to have, but it lacks a lot of the strength rain teams have when abilities were introduced. And Amnesia, it's nice to patch up that lower Spadef, but with low speed and no way to heal at all, not even a Hyper Potion, it's probably not helping Quagsire that much. So overall, Quagsire is a cool Pokemon, a beloved Pokemon, but this moveset doesn't feel too powerful, and it's likely just to get one shot with how low leveled it is, but it is very useful for a team to have an electric immunity. Out third is a Lapras at level 44 with Surf, Blizzard, Rain Dance and Perish Song. Solid stats and a powerful stab, though Blizzard is rather inaccurate starting Gen 2. I can appreciate Perish Song, but I'm not sure if the AI will switch out before it takes effect like the player would do. Lastly, Rain Dance is something, but Lapras has awesome coverage moves, so it feels like this Pokemon would rather have that, considering the previous Pokemon had Rain Dance as well. Lastly, her ace, Starmie, at level 47, with Surf, Ice Beam, Confuse Ray, and Recover. Stab Surf, as expected. Ice Beam coverage is handy. Recover maybe isn't the best use of Starmie's time, but it is bulkier than Alakazam, I suppose. And Confuse Ray is hit or miss. From what we've seen from the rest of her team though, it's one of her better movesets, and Starmie has some nice stats overall. So it's not a bad ace at the end of the day, just maybe could replace a move here or there. Here's Misty's team, a squad of 4 this time, and her ace is 1 level lower than Sabrina's. She has nice secondary types on her team, and while she has no grass neutral mons, she does at least have a Lapras with Blizzard and Ice Beam Starmie too. It's something, but definitely could use some improvements. Misty's lead is still Golduck at level 49, holding the Scope Lens. Its moves are Surf, Ice Beam, Cross Chop and Rain Dance. With the standard Surf, Ice Beam, many water types love, and Cross Chop to catch unexpected fighting weak Pokemon, as well as take advantage of Golduck's relatively balanced offenses, with the Scope Lens further boosting its crit rate. This equals Golduck critting that move 25% of the time. Lastly, Rain Dance. While Express is nowhere near as powerful as modern day Rain Dance, or even Gen 3 when abilities were introduced such as Swift Swim, it won't be like modern Rain teams, but I certainly appreciate a strategy mix up to give the player something new to deal with. Out second is Lapras at level 50, holding the leftovers with the moves Surf, Ice Beam, Thunder and Rain Dance. Dual Stabs and Thunder to further help make the most out of the rain. Volt Beam coverage is amazing since the only thing that can tank it is Magneton, and with Surf as the other move, even if the matchup isn't great for Lapras, it has options for it. Last move is Rain Dance, in case Golduck didn't set it up earlier, or if the player changed the weather, or if the weather ran out, etc, etc. With good bulk and leftovers, I'm hoping Lapras can set up, tank some hits, deal heavy damage back with its diverse range of attacks. Out next is Lantern at level 51, holding a magnet with the moves Thunder, Surf, Ice Beam and Thunder Wave. It's a neutral option to electric types, and a solid way to exploit the rain with magnet boosted Thunders and rain boosted Surfs. Ice Beam of course to tackle those grass types, and Thunder Wave to spread some status around, as Lantern is more of a bulky option with fairly mid speed. Fourth is Quagsire at level 50, holding the Quick Claw. It knows Surf, Earthquake, Sludge Bomb and Curse. This moveset is essentially Ground Stab, Sludge Bomb for grass types, and if we're lucky, outspeeding them thanks to Quick Claw, which I believe has a 23.4% chance to activate in this game, so pretty decent, all things considered. Curse is to boost 2 of these attacks, while not minding the speed debuff, and Surf is mainly just so we don't get walled by certain mons like Skarmory or Crobats. Even a random Gligar, who knows? Usually I'm not a fan of poison coverage pre-Gen 6, but when Quagsire's only weakness is to grass, it seems pretty reasonable to me. Misty's ace is Starmie at level 52, holding Mystic Water, and it knows Hydro Pump, Psychic, Thunder, and Rain Dance. There's 3 attacks, and a way to set up the rain again if it needs to. The Starmie's going all out, and there's no real need to explain these moves again, but I opted for Hydro Pump over Surf for that power boost to make Misty's ace hit even harder. Here's Misty's new team. While nothing counters grass types directly, we do have a couple of Pokemon with super effective options for them. We improved her matchup to them, same with electric types, mainly in adding Lantern to the mix, so she at least has 2 water types that aren't outright scared of them. Other than that, we've upgraded our movesets in general, increased the levels, and leaned more into a Rain Dance strategy to make the battle feel more unique. It's the Grass-type expert Erika. There's a pretty weak gym leader in Gen 1. I'm sure she'll have abandoned that incredibly weak Tangela. Okay, well, I'm sure it has better moves. Right. This should be interesting. So she leads with Tangela at level 42. It knows Vine Whip, Bind, Giga Drain and Sleep Powder. So Vine Whip is 35 base power, 10 PP grass move. Maybe acceptable if she was Gym 1, not Gym 10 or 11 or whatever order you fight her in the post game. Also Bind, she still thinks it's Gen 1 where rat moves are OP. Well, they're not. 15 base power, 85% accuracy, and additionally dealing 1/16 max HP every turn for, what, 2 to 5 turns? That is really bad. Giga Drain is at least a decent move that heals HP back, but low PP is an issue, and it is only 60 base power in this game. Lastly, Sleep Powder. It's decent, sleep is pretty good in this gen, it lasts 1 to 6 turns. Not quite as busted in Gen 1, but you could still get a lot of free turns out of this. Not like the rest of its moveset would let it capitalize that much though, if the player was sleeping for the full 6 turns. So the moveset overall is pretty bad, but maybe the stats make up for it? Okay, never mind. Erika's lead is overall an underleveled, weak Pokemon with a very underwhelming moveset. Maybe our team gets better though. Out second is Victory Bell at level 46 with Sunny Day, Synthesis, Acid, and Razor Leaf. Well, stat-wise Victory Bell fares a bit better, but there's some big issues here. Sunny Day pre-Chlorophyll on grass types is really suspect. I could justify Rain on water teams, but Sun on grass is really bad Gen 2. Well done Victory Bell, your Synthesis now heals, well, depends on the time of day, but at worst it goes from healing a quarter to a half. But it might heal more if you're lucky Erika, depending on if the player fights you during the day. Seriously, this move is a bit silly. A big problem I'm sure you've guessed though, is now that grass types have 0% chance to survive fire attacks. And it was already looking slim. This is essentially the nail in the coffin. Who cares if you heal a bit more if you're dead, Victory Bell? Think, Victory Bell, think! Wait, its other moves may be good. Acid, it's 40 base power, why isn't it Sludge Bomb? And Razor Leaf is okay at 55 base power, but it isn't Gen 1 where it auto crits. This should probably be Giga Drain or maybe even Solar Beam if you're going to go for the whole Sunny Day strat, Victory Bell. Yeah, this is a pretty bad moveset as well. 0 out of 2 so far. Can Pokemon 3 net a dub? Out third is Jumpluff at level 41. It knows Mega Drain, Leech Seed, Cotton Spore, and Giga Drain. Guys, I'm sorry. I love Jumpluff, but what is this? Mega Drain? We already have Giga Drain. You're scared of running out of PP or something? It's such a weak attack. At least Leech Seed is something half decent, but the fact I'm looking at Leech Seed with such a high opinion just goes to show how bad her whole team has been so far. And Cotton Spore, lowering the opponent's speed 2 stages is cool I guess. It's a slightly better string shot. Also, let me remind you all that status moves used by the opponents have a 25% chance to miss. From how I understand it, they go through 2 accuracy checks. 3 out of 4 chance to even get to use the move, and then they have to make it through Cotton Spore's 85% accuracy. Jumping through 2 hoops for that reward just isn't really worth it. Overall, I'm sad to say this is another bad team member. Can her ace save the team? Well, it's Blossom at level 46. It knows Sunny Day, Synthesis, Hell Dance, and Solar Beam. Okay, let's think positively now. At least with Sunny Day, 2 out of the 3 other moves benefit from it. Even if I think the downsides outweigh the positives, at least she's doing something with this moveset. Now, Petal Dance. On top of being another grass type move, aka resisted by a boatload of Pokemon, offering no additional coverage, makes the user confused after 2 to 3 turns of use, locking them into using it. But it's okay because the power it provides, right? Well, in this gen it's not 120 base power, but it's 70. That's right, it's the same power as Headbutt, Steel Wing, or I don't know, Slash. Awful downside for such a minuscule upside. Not gonna lie, with how balanced Blossom's offenses are, just go for a physical move. Though, its moveset's pretty bad. I mean, I'll probably be keeping her ace as the same, as that's something I like to do most of the time, so wish me luck with this rework. Here's Erika's team. I've ragged on it enough. It's bad, but golly gosh, it's bad. It's underleveled, weak, monograss offensively except for Victory Bell's Acid and Tangleo's Bind. Sunny Day is more likely to harm than help. So I'm sorry Erika, maybe battling isn't for you. Too busy napping on the job, I say. Let's see what we can do to make a fun, strong grass type team in Gen 2. Erika's lead will now be Victory Bell at level 49, holding the Poison Barb, and its moves are Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Body Slam, and Sleep Powder. Like many grass types, their move coverage isn't great. At least we can use its secondary type in Poison to give it a strong stab attack in Sludge Bomb, boosted further by the Poison Barb it's holding. Giga Drain is about as good as we can do for grass moves, and Body Slam just to help provide a neutral option, and maybe get a lucky paralysis. Lastly, Sleep Powder. Again, sleep is a good status to inflict, though it does have to go through 2 75% accuracy checks. Funnily enough, this Victory Bell could poison, para, or sleep a player's Pokemon. While its moveset isn't anything top tier, grass types really struggle with a nerf to sleep, and no auto-crit Razor Leaf. Out second is Jumpluff, holding the leftovers, and it knows Giga Drain, Headbutt, Leech Seed, and Protect. So this one is a bit of an odd one. While looking at this Pokemon's moveset, no Swords Dance Gen 2 unfortunately, but some interesting stolier options, so stuff it! We are going for Leech Seed Protect strats, with leftovers to further that goal, Giga Drain for additional healing, and Headbutt, since Giga Drain is only 5 PP, and with Jumpluff's high speed, could flinch the trainer's Pokemon and gain an additional turn of healing via leftovers and maybe Leech Seed if we're lucky. It's not conventional, but we need to be a bit quirky on this team, guys. This genuinely makes me wonder why Game Freak just made one of the 3 starter types so devoid of nice spammable stab, like the other 2 starters. Until Gen 4 anyway, where they get 80 base power, Energy Ball. Third out is Exeggutor at level 50 with a Twisted Spoon equipped, and its moves are Psychic, Solar Beam, Sleep Powder, and Leech Seed. Exeggutor could have been on Sabrina's team, but there's far more usable Psychic Mons at her disposal than Erika has good Grass types. This set aims to inflict status and sap away the player's Pokemon's HP while they're immobilized, all while having 2 very powerful stab moves to spam, with Psychic's power boosted by the Twisted Spoon. Leech Seed is a nice health draining move, and in Gen 2 it leeches 1/8 of the max HP per turn, as opposed to Gen 1's measly 1 in 16. Out fourth is Sudowoodo at level 51, holding a Quick Claw, and it knows Rock Slide, Earthquake, Low Kick, and Curse. Sudowoodo is a bit of a meme, but it holds solid value in our team. I'm sorry to that one commenter that really hates when I use Pokemon with a different type to the gym leaders, because I've already done it several times here. But I mean, it's Sudowoodo. It's pretending to be a grass type. Also, it's a reference to her team having cut trees in it. Thematically, you can't fault me here. Getting serious though, I can see why Game Freak made this Pokemon. Rock types do well against a lot of grass types' bad matchups. They resist poison, flying, and fire, and are weak to grass resists like water, grass, and ground. So even if Sudowoodo's stats are middling, it's a very useful addition to cover for some weaknesses. We have good moves to use that Erika otherwise wouldn't have in Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Low Kick. 2 of these have a flinch chance, and at least that's now possible thanks to Quick Claw activating, almost a quarter of the time. Lastly, Curse is solid since we don't care about the speed drop and can allow Sudowoodo to hit the player's team pretty hard on the physical side. Our ace is Blossom at level 52, holding a Miracle Seed. Its moves are Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb, Leech Seed, and Attract. I'm not too pleased with this moveset, but Blossom in Gen 2 is really underwhelming. The idea anyway is to use Attract if applicable and use those free turns to set up Leech Seed, use Solar Beams, boosted by the Miracle Seed, and Sludge Bomb is just to have a coverage move. It's not amazing, but I definitely think it's far better than the original Blossom's moveset. This was maybe the toughest team to redesign. Grass types really get the short end of the stick in the earlier gens. So we've opted for some unconventional strategies to annoy the opponent into misplaying, more than anything. At least we have a few strong options like Victreebel Sludge Bombs and Exeggutor's Psychics. Janine is a poison type novice. It makes sense that when Koga got promoted to an Elite Four, somehow with his team, that someone would take his place. And nepotism runs rampant in Kanto, as Janine is the daughter of Koga. She may be his daughter, but maybe she was honestly most suitable for the job. Let's see. She leads with a Crobat. Sounds tough. At level 36. Okay, never mind. It knows Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Supersonic, and Screech. But let's get the obvious out of the way here. Her team is stupidly underleveled. We're talking weaker than Claire. The only reason I can think it's like this is because she's Koga's daughter and is sort of meant to be the rookie gym leader compared to the other veterans of Kanto. The fact it leads to a ridiculously bad battle just isn't fun. So we know her team is woefully underleveled. Let's put that to one side and judge her whole team on their other aspects. Crobat is a good Pokemon. Stat wise, there's no complaints here. Moveset wise, this isn't good. 1 attack and Wing Attack, 60 base power, not impressive even slightly. Supersonic and Confuse Ray combo is such a unique strategy, really no redundancy here. And lastly, Screech, maybe then if you hit it, your Wing Attack can do a little bit of damage. Yeah, this moveset is pretty bad. Gen 2 Crobat doesn't have an amazing moveset, but it can definitely do better than this. Out second is Weezing at level 36 with Sludge Bomb, Smog, Toxic, and Explosion. Honestly, it's a better moveset. Aside from Smog, nothing here is embarrassing. Strong Stab, Sludge Bomb, and a Gen 2 Explosion is really powerful. It could be better, but a step up from Crobat for sure. And third out is an identical Weezing, Double Explosion, assuming Weezing tanks a hit, then could be the only way she realistically grabs a KO on the player. Fourth out is, dare I say, the strongest Pokemon I've seen a gym leader use, is Ariados at level 33. Check out these moves. String Shot, Scary Face, Giga Drain, and Nightshade. That's right, The physical attacker has no physical moves. It is humble enough to utilize the special attack in Giga Drain and the set damage in Nightshade. Short speed may be low, along with being level 33, but don't worry, after one use of String Shot and Scary Face, it probably outspeeds maybe, and can heal any and all damage it's taken over those 2 turns with the aforementioned Giga Drain. Don't forget, 5 PP, non-stab, 60 base power from its special attack. This mon I think might be the weakest Pokemon a gym leader has ever had in relation to the point of the game you fight them in. I genuinely am shocked at how the game devs made her this weak. At least in HGSS, they realised their mistake and gave her a huge level boost. So congrats to Aridos for this impressive achievement. Weak bug Pokemon with awful moves and way underleveled. The perfect trifecta. The ace is Venomoth at level 39, doing Psychic, Double Team, Toxic and Supersonic. Not impressive, but far better than the other bug poison I suppose. We have nice status in Toxic, non-stab Psychic coming off of an at least decent special attack stat. A little bit of Double Team cheese can go a long way, maybe, and Supersonic. Look, you can't get confused, Ray. Just forget it and put something else instead, okay? But why does it matter? It's probably just going to get outspared and one-shot anyway. But guys, we've not talked about one thing, the most important aspect. This team is okay because Janine's one item of choice is the Dire Hit. Here's Janine's full team. Slightly positive again, 5 Pokemon. 2 explosions means she at least has a chance of getting a KO or messing with a Nuzlocke run or something. They're so low leveled, I'm sure a lot of Pokemon still live that naturally. But it's probably about the best you can do. 99.9% of players will just steamroll her, and I get she's meant to be a newbie in this gym leader business, but from a gameplay perspective, we need to bring her up to a level where she can offer the player a challenge. Let's see what we can do. She leads with a Quillfish at level 51, holding the Mystic Water, and then Sludge Bomb, Surf, Spikes and Toxic. We're mimicking her father 1-to-1 here with an identical lead slot Quillfish. We have 2 moves to utilise Stab. Spikes is the only entry hazard and is rather rare, so it's always nice to include them on a team. Lastly, Toxic to start spreading some poison around. Stat-wise, nothing too crazy, but I thought it would be nice to make her lead identical to her father's. Out second is Muck at level 51, holding the leftovers with Sludge Bomb, Body Slam, Fire Punch and Curse. The idea here is to set up with Curse, boosting attack and defense, while slowly healing over time with leftovers. Coupled with his high special defense, this can turn into a slow tank that can dish out a good amount of damage, and Fire Punch gives it an option to deal with the steel types. It can't really hit otherwise. Despite Muck's low special attack, this should still be relatively fine considering most steels are either 4 times weak or have low special defense themselves. Third out is Crobat at level 52, holding the Bright Powder. It has Fly, Steel Wing, Toxic and Double Team. We're differentiating ourselves a bit from Koga's Crobat here. While he went for more of an honourable Elite Four approach, Janine is going in on the evasion strats, with Bright Powder to boot. Coupled with Toxic, this could turn into a painful Pokemon to deal with. Fourth is Weezing at level 52, holding a Pink Bow. Its moves are Sludge Bomb, Fire Blast, Thunderbolt and Explosion. We're making use of Weezing's mixed defensive capabilities here to provide good coverage that not many other poisons could provide. And a Pink Bow boosted Explosion is basically Electrode 2.0, coming off of Weezing's far better attack stat. I'm sure now it will grab many KOs for even Pokemon that are considered decently bulky. Our ace is Venomoth at level 53, holding the Gold Berry with the moves Psychic, Giga Drain, Thief and Sleep Powder. This strat I've not really given to an NPC here yet. Consumable item with Thief to steal the player's Pokemon's item. Overall not amazing since Thief is only 40 base power, but it does provide some utility as well as a better option to deal with its Psychic type weakness. Other than that, we have our good friend Giga Drain and Psychic as well. It is about as good as Venomoth can do pre-Gen 4 really. Sleep Powder for some further utility and maybe get decently fast sleep off. Here's Janine's new team. In several aspects it mirrors her father's team. Well, Koga's edited team anyway, while differing in some other areas. Janine can be proud that she has carried on her father's legacy with dignity, as opposed to whatever she was doing with that Ariados team. It's the first gym leader, but 6 in this video? How? Well, because he's kinda out of the way, that's why. Brock is a rock type expert, and in the original games, is a complete joke for 2 out of the 3 stars. Surely now though that he's post game, he can have a team that deals with rock types bad matchups, especially water and grass types, right? Oh dear. Well, he leads with Graveler at level 41, it knows Earthquake, Rock Slide, Rollout and Defense Curl. Post game with the NFE, you really gotta respect it. Brock is just doing a challenge run perhaps. 4 times weak to grass and water, 2 times weak to fighting, ice, steel and ground. Is that not enough to let this poor fellow evolve? To be fair, maybe nobody wanted to trade with him, and let's look at the bright side. Earthquake and Rock Slide are as good as you can get for Gen 2, Ground and Rock Stab. Fence Curl Rollout is a fun combo, but realistically it won't work unless the player is purposely throwing. So yeah, this is really kind of a weak lead. Out second, it's not a Rock Ground type, but a Ground Rock type. It's Rhyhorn at level 41, with the terrifying moves of Fury Attack, Scary Face, Horn Drill, and Earthquake, okay. 1 out of 4 of its moves are good, on a Pokemon that rivals Geodude stat-wise. It's funny how Rhyhorn is seen as this serious menace that's big, tough trainers use, when it's basically just a slightly better Geodude. But again, to be fair, Rhyhorn evolves at level 42, so really no choice here. Couldn't have leveled it up once more and evolved. That'd be unreasonable. So 2 for 2 on bad Pokemon that die in 1 to a level 30 Bayleaf, Razor Leaf. Out third is Omastar at level 42 with Bite, Surf, Protect and Spike Cannon. It's a fully evolved Pokemon.
That's good.
It is still 4 times weak to grass.
That's bad.
But it is neutral to water attacks.
That's good.
Half of its moveset is pointless.
Ooh, that's bad.
But it has nice stats and Stab Surf.
That's good.
Pretty much summed this guy up. Protect without Leech Seeds or Statusing or hold item leftovers doesn't really serve much of a purpose. And Spike Cannon also feels fairly useless. It's got a base 60 attack stat with no reason to be using physical attacks, aside from, I guess, the cheeky Rock Stab. But other than that, there's not really any reason. It does help with some of Brock's weak points, but does nothing for some others. It's a good member to have at the very least, but we'll need more than just that. Fourth out is Kabutops at level 42, it knows Slash, Surf, Endure, and Giga Drain. I was going to mock Kabutops for having no Rock Stab, but it doesn't learn Rock Slide, and its only rock move it learns via level up is Ancient Power at level 65. Instead of mockery, I offer sympathy to this victim of Game Freak's moveset antics. Slash is the only physical move on this moveset, and it has Surf and Giga Drain, which, at least, this is coming off of a base 65 special attack, as opposed to Omastar's Spike Cannon base 60 attack stat. Lastly, Endure is, like Protect, not really adding much to the moveset, aside from maybe wasting an extra PP or 2 from the player. Outlast is the Menace. It rhymes with Sonics. It's the top G himself. It's the big dog Onix at level 44 with the move Sandstorm, Bind, Bide, don't get confused, and Rock Slide. Janine may have had the most underwhelming team, but Brock may just have the most underwhelming ace. 385 BST, dies to any special attack. The Bide and Bind sound alikes, you love to hate it really. I like Onix, but I don't think this has ever finished off someone's team in GSC. But please comment below if you remember losing to Onix back in the day in Gen 2. The problems here, moveset wise, is Bind is pitiful in damage. Bind works best on a tanky Pokemon with high HP and no exploitable 4 times weaknesses. Rock Slide is decent, yeah, can't really complain about that. And Sandstorm, well, it does a chunky 1/8 chip damage every turn, which is honestly decent for Onix, but maybe is coming in too late. Here's Brock's team: 3 NFEs and 2 evolved fossils. 5 4 times weak to grass moves. I suppose Meganium fans love to see it after all the bad matchups they've had to deal with in Johto. But Brock has no real counterplay to any grass type, and just in general he's using weak mons or weak movesets or both. I'm quite interested to see how we can make a late game Brock team work, so let's see how I do. Brock's lead will now be Onix at level 54. It's holding a Soft Sand and knows Rock Slide, Earthquake, Explosion and Sandstorm. I don't have high hopes for Onix, so it goes in the lead slot instead. I want it to do as much damage as possible, so it's holding the Soft Sand to boost its strongest attack, Earthquake. Sandstorm is there to set up a useful weather for his next rock types, and at least gives Onix a surefire way to deal some damage. After 5 turns, this I think equates to 62.5% of a Pokemon's max HP, so it's pretty good for Onix, I guess. Out second is Omastar, at level 52, it's holding the leftovers and knows Surf, Ice Beam, Bite and Protect. Using Omastar's good special attack, we've gone for 3 special attacking moves. Ice Beam offers a way to deal with grass types, and Protect at least serves a purpose now that Leftovers has been equipped. Third is Magcargo at level 52, it's holding a Quick Claw, and it knows Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Rock Slide and Sunny Day. Magcargo is trying to be a better grass type answer, though it doesn't help at all with the water types. But it can set up Sun to half the damage of water types if it gets the chance to, which maybe it can with a Quick Claw. Then it has 2 of the best fire moves in the game, opting for Flamethrower for consistency or Fire Blast for power. Lastly, Rock Slide won't be great, but Macargo gets no other special attacks that aren't fire, so we might as well give it a stab move on its other typing. Fourth out is Aerodactyl at level 53. It's holding a sharp beak and has the moves Wing Attack, Ancient Power, Earthquake and Fire Blast. Another Pokemon to help deal with grass types and fighting types, though its best stab could be argued is Wing Attack. It's either that or Fly. Ancient Power is its best rock move unless you're Lance, and at least it could get a lucky Omni Boost. Earthquake is always a reliable option and helps deal with steel types. And Fire Blast, especially if Macargo set the sun earlier, gives Aero some special coverage that probably outdamages Wing Attack when it's sunny. It's also a very fast Pokemon, which is a rare trait for rock types to have, especially in the early gens. The second fastest rock type in Gen 2 is Kabutops, for god's sake. Last out is Tyranitar at level 55, holding the Magnet, and it knows Earthquake, Crunch, Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. I feel Brock's team overall, I'd be struggling to make it on par with the others, but with Tyranitar as his ace, this is where the big threat comes in. It's a pseudo-legendary with a BST of 600, we have Bolt Beam coverage, Electric for those water types, we have Ice for the grass and grounds of course. These two moves are only walled by Magneton, which is also why we have Earthquake. And lastly Crunch, we should have at least one stab move on there. This Pokemon is very tanky, and while it has great stats, its special attack is 95 and speed is 61. So I'm not expecting it to sweep a team, but its wide moveset diversity should give it great options for pretty much anything that swaps into it. Here's Brock's new team. We've kept Onix on the squad, and every other team member has a different secondary type, really trying to go against the grain of the rock ground meta from Gen 1. While there's plenty of 4x weaknesses still on the team, that's just early gen rock types for you, and we at least have options for every one of Rock's weaknesses. Blaine, the fire type expert, is no longer on Cinnabar Island. He's had to relocate to a cave in the Seafoam Islands thanks to the Cinnabar Island volcano erupting a year ago. What kind of society is this where the gym leader, through no fault of his own, has to run his operations from a cave after becoming homeless? Doesn't this society love and respect Pokemon battles? Aren't gym leaders essentially celebrities in this world? There's maybe a lot more corruption and callousness in the world than meets the eye, I think. Blaine leads with a level 45 Macargo, and it knows Flamethrower, Rock Slide, Smog, and Curse. Okay, well, look, I know I just gave Brock a Macargo, but I wasn't exactly thrilled about it. Its stats aren't great. Right side is Flamethrower and Rock Slide is fair enough. Curse, quite frankly, I don't think Macargo has the longevity to utilise. And Smog is epic poison type coverage. 20 base power, 70% accurate. Not a good lead. Out second is Magmar at level 45 with Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Sunny Day and Confuse Ray. Honestly not a bad mon. Stat wise perfectly reasonable, and we have fairly rare electric coverage to deal with water types. I'd rather Flamethrower over Fire Punch. Magmar does learn this 4 levels earlier as well, but it's not that much of a power difference. Sunny Day is reasonable. Fire types can use it far better than whatever Erika was trying to do, and Confuse Ray as always is hit or miss. But I'm just thankful it's not Smog, I guess. I'll take it. And his ace is Rapidash at level 50. It knows Quick Attack, Fire Spin, Fury Attack, and Fire Blast. My guess as to why Blaine doesn't have his Arcanine ace is because Blue, probably the next and is the final gym leader for the player, uses one. A shame though for Blaine. Talking about Rapidash, its stats are fine, very fast, leaning more physically. It's a bit of a waste to give it Quick Attack. Fury Attack is just very weak and inaccurate. It's a move I don't even like using on my level 5 Pokemon. Fire Spin has been Gen 2ified, so it's not OP anymore, and Fire Blast is the only decent move in Rapidash's set. So an underwhelming ace, but at the very least, Blaine gets to be the only non-blue gym leader with a Pokemon in the 50s. So here's Blaine's team. Sad to see only 3 Pokemon, and only one of them I'd consider to be solid. Maybe leaning into a Sunny Day team could work nicely. Let's see what we can do. Blaine's new lead is Ninetales at level 54. It's holding a scope lens and has Flamethrower, Body Slam, Reflect, and Sunny Day. The idea here is Sunny Day to boost fire moves obviously, but also half fire type's weakness to water. And Reflect halves the damage from fire type's other 2 weaknesses, in ground and rock. Ninetales' offensive moves aren't amazing, so we have Body Slam as some sort of coverage move. To help with this, I've given it a scope lens to help break through its mid-offensive with crits, and a critical hit Flamethrower in the sun will do a lot of damage to just about anything. Out second, at level 54, is Arcanine, holding the leftovers. It knows Flamethrower, Dig, Crunch at extreme speed. 4 attacking moves. Using its really solid stats with Flamethrower for consistency. Dig as an interesting coverage option that combos well with passive leftover healing every turn. Crunch again for more coverage, and Extreme Speed to nab KOs on lower health Pokemon. It has the leftovers due to it mainly being a bulkier Pokemon compared to most other fire types, and so far every gym leader's second Pokemon has been holding it. Arcanine's move pool in Gen 2 is still a bit limited, but it's cool it has a very rare priority move at Extreme Speed. Third out is Houndoom at level 54, it's holding a Miracle Seed and has the moves Fire Blast, Solar Beam, Crunch and Sunny Day. Sun may still be up if Ninetales used it, but if not, Houndoom can reset it up, which lets it spam Solar Beam on all 3 of Fire type's weaknesses: Rock, Ground and Water. Outside of Entei and Ho-Oh, Houndoom is the only fire type to get a grass move. This gives it a very important role in Blaine's team. Fourth out is Magmar at level 55, holding a Magnet, and it knows Flamethrower, Thunder Punch, Psychic and Cross Chop. We're making use of Magmar's solid move diversity here. Upgraded Fire Punch to Flamethrower, and given a Magnet to make the Thunder Punches on water types hit a bit harder. Psychic is a solid coverage move, and Cross Chop to let Magmar use its respectable attack stat, and have a decent option against rock types. Overall, this Pokemon can take on a wide array of Pokemon and have options for Fire's weak points. Lastly is Blaine's Ace in Rapidash at level 56. It's holding the Pink Bow, and knows Fire Blast, Low Kick, Double Edge and Iron Tail. Gen 2 Rapidash's moveset isn't that good, but we've got Stab Fire Blast to make the most of its 80 special attack stat, and the rest are physical. Low Kick, while being fairly weak, is an option for rock types. Double Edge is just a powerful physical move, with the Pink Bow further boosting its power, and lastly Iron Tail, while inaccurate, is a stronger option for rock types, and may lower the Pokemon's defenses, helping the horse break through for the KO. Here's Blaine's team, bumped up from 3 to 5 team members, with 2 Sunny Day users helping out against water types. With Solar Beam and plenty of Fire Stab to capitalise on the weather, we had Misty and Rain, so I wanted to give Blaine a bit of sun to play around with. The OG cocky rival. Blue's become leader of Viridian Gym. It makes sense, I suppose. Giovanni disappeared, so the slot needed filling. But I mean, Bruno deserves to be demoted, and he shares a similar theme to Giovanni in terms of Pokemon used. It makes sense that Game Freak wanted to keep Blue secret until near the end of the game. It would be odd for him to show up so early. Either way, it's cool we get to fight him. He leads with Pidgeot at level 56 with Wing Attack, Quick Attack, Whirlwind and Mirror Move. Yep, he's using his team from the original games. Now stat-wise, Pidgeot isn't anything impressive, and moveset-wise, it has strangely struggled to learn moves above 60 base power. Quick Attack is okay for priority, and Whirlwind isn't much of an addition, especially since I believe it's under the AI's unfortunate status moves, altered 25% mischance. Wing Attack is very mid-stab, but only a few flyers get access to Drill Peck, and Mirror Move is sort of cool. As such, Mirror Move may have some fun moments, but it seems more likely to do only minuscule damage. Not a great lead, but at least level-wise is very competent. Out second is Alakazam, with Psychic, Reflect, Disable and Recover. Classic Alakazam here pretty much. 3 decent moves and Disable still suffers from awful accuracy. Stat-wise, Alakazam is solid of course. Stab Psychic can handle most, but can easily be resisted by the 2 new types and opposing Psychics. Overall though, decent team member. Third is Rhydon at level 56. It knows Earthquake, Rock Slide, Fury Attack and Sandstorm. This is a massive improvement over his Gen 1 Rhydon, which had double defense lowering Leer and Tail Whip, weak and inaccurate Fury Attack, and the pretty much always gonna fail Horn Drill. So he does keep the awful Fury Attack, and Sandstorm I don't think is great since none of his other team members benefit from it. I'm not really going to complain too much considering what he had before. Clearly though, Blue should have made Rhydon go full special with its base 45 special attack, and access to insane moves like Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and even Surf for some reason. Out fourth is Gyarados at level 58, and knows Hydro Pump, Twister, Hyper Beam and Rain Dance. I get it, Gyarados has a bad physical move pool in Gen 2, but he really settled on Twister for a coverage move. What is this accomplishing exactly? Ice Beam would hit all the dragons harder and would at least not make you look like a fool on your resume. Gyarados Gen 1 was awesome since its special stat was 100, so it didn't mind only having normal moves for physical options, when it could learn all sorts of special coverage options. But Gen 2? This is probably the lowest point for Gyarados in the series, so my condolences. Stab Hydro Pump, especially if it can sap the rain, will still do decent damage, and non-stab Hyper Beam kinda sucks, but Gyarados isn't made of options for physical attacks. Fifth is Executor at level 58, and knows Solar Beam, Egg Bomb, Leech Seed and Sunny Day. Good stats, no Psychic Stab hurts, as it has to rely on the semi-signature move, Egg Bomb at 75% accuracy for only 100 base power. Or the 2-turn Solar Beam, which setting up the sun, good luck surviving if you're against a fire type. Or like half of the types in the game, given Executor's wealth of weaknesses. Leech Seed is usually a move I can get behind, so I approve of it in his kit here. This moveset is a little bit whack. It lacks any sort of immediate threat, apart from the inaccurate non-stab Egg Bomb, which would do a fair bit I suppose. Executor's attack is decent, but without stab it's not going to be knocking out too much from full health. Could be better here. Lastly is his third ace, Arcanine at level 58. It knows Flamethrower, Extreme Speed, Swift and Roar. First two moves got no complaints about, last two moves are not doing much. I don't get why Swift is being used so much as a filler slot, but a lot of these Pokemon would be better without that fourth move, to remove the chance of the AI even using it. We've been over it with Blaine. Arcanine's move pool isn't amazing in Gen 2, but it is better than this. So here's Blue's team, identical to his team in the original games, except no starter Pokemon, which is fair enough. Technically he has 3 aces, which I think I'd like to change that, basing off of which starter the player picked, so that Blue's ace is the Pokemon strong against your starter. Coming up, his team's levels and aces will reflect what they would be if the player chose Cyndaquil. Also, people are going to voice their disagreement here, that I'll be changing his new team based off of the changes I made in the Fixing Kanto's Elite Four video. His new lead is Dodrio at level 58, holding a Sharp Beak, as Drill Peck, Tri-Attack, Double Edge and Steel Wing. A straightforward all-out attacking lead here. Dodrio is essentially just better Pidgeot, with far better attack and speed, along with Drill Peck, which is the peak of flying moves Gen 2. The Sharp Beak will make it hit even harder, and Tri-Attack is for decent, no drawback normal stab with a chance to inflict status. Double Edge for roll power, and Steel Wing to give an option against those rock types. I know there will be a few comments about how could I possibly change Blue's iconic Pidgeot. Well, quite frankly, because I can. And I did this in the Gen 1 video, so it makes sense to give him Dodrio here. Out second is still Alakazam at level 58, and is holding a Twisted Spoon. It has Psychic, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, and Reflect. Pretty similar to Sabrina's one. This guy's Stab Psychic, of course. Ice Punch, since there's not too much ice moves elsewhere in his team. Fire Punch to help deal with the Steel types mainly, and bugs. And Reflect to patch up Alakazam's defense, or just provide team support if it faints after that. Third out is Jolteon, level 58, holding a Magnet. It knows Thunderbolt, Bite, Charm, and Thunder Wave. Special moves for Jolteon boil down to Electric Stab and Bite. At least a fast Bite will net Jolteon flinches from time to time. I opted for Charm since the move pool is limited enough, I think debuffing the player's Pokemon, which is fairly likely to be physically inclined using Earthquakes, maybe allowing Jolteon to live one, and ensure if it faints, the next Pokemon coming out has an advantage. Lastly, Thunder Wave because paralysis spreading is useful, help the other team members outspeed. Out fourth is Executor at level 60, holding a Miracle Seed with Solar Beam, Psychic, Ancient Power, and Sleep Powder. Pretty similar to Erika's Executor, this time we're holding a Miracle Seed to boost Solar Beam's power, and Ancient Power to fish for Omni Boosts, while dealing solid damage to some of Executor's weaknesses in Flying, Bug, Fire, and Ice, coming off of its decent base 95 attack stat. And of course we have classic Sleep Powder to try and net some free turns. Fifth out is Arcanine at level 61, holding a Charcoal, and it knows Flamethrower, Iron Tail, Extreme Speed, and Curse. Trying to differentiate from Blaine's Arcanine, aside from the obligatory Flamethrower and very useful Extreme Speed, we have Iron Tail for rock types and Curse to become a physical sweeper, with Extreme Speed mitigating the speed drop. Definitely not the most conventional Arcanine set, but I think it's kind of interesting. His ace is Gyarados at level 62 holding a Silk Scarf, with Hydro Pump, Flail, Hyper Beam, and Endure. Hydro Pump is about the only acceptable damage Gyarados can expect to do with its stab after the Gen 2 special stat split. Hyper Beam with its 150 base power could grab some KOs on the player's team, which is probably weakened by this point, with Flail Endure to make the absolute most of its attack. If it's not outsped, then Flail, boosted by Silk Scarf, is 220 base power. Poor Gyarados doesn't have a great moveset. Don't worry though, in 2 generations you become an absolute menace again. Here's Blue's team. The 2 member changes are Pidgeot to Dodrio and Rhydon to Jolteon. I didn't feel like replacing his Water, Fire, Grass core made any sense, since they're all decent Pokemon in their own right, and are essentially Blue's starters, or replacement starters I suppose. His team offers immediate power, while having a good team type diversity that covers for each other's weaknesses. It'll be a good test for the player before they have to fight the true final boss of the game. It's one of, if not the most iconic boss battle in all of Pokemon. It's Red, the protagonist from the first generation, standing atop Mount Silver. He's conquered all. Nobody left to challenge. At least that's what he thinks. It's such an awesome concept. You could try making a bunch of fancy reasoning and deep meaning behind this, such as fighting your former self from Gen 1. It'll be tough, but now in a new generation with more collective experience, you can triumph and prove you're better today than you were yesterday. I mean, it's just a fun concept that whoever came up with the idea, the rest of the dev team were like, yeah, we gotta do that, write that down, get that in the GDD. It's time though to see how his team really is. Is it competent, or just carried by being super high leveled? He leads with his iconic Pikachu at level 81. It knows Thunderbolt, Thunder, Quick Attack and Charm. It's pretty strong. Well, it's the highest thing you'll fight from a trainer in this game. For Pikachu, those Thunderbolts and Thunders will hit hard, and using fast charms could annoy the player if they're using physical attacks. Quick Attack though won't really do much. Low base power and Pikachu is already very likely to outspeed anything the player has. Also, it means it can't really touch ground types, especially the Rock Grounders or Steelix. On top of this all, I think they should have let Pikachu hold the Light Ball. In Gen 2 this doubles Pikachu's special attack only, in later games it also boosts physical attack. At least in the remakes it does come equipped with one. So overall it's fast, very high leveled lead, but will be manageable to anything that resists electric or has solid special bulk. And despite its level, it has relatively poor bulk, dying in a few hits at most, probably from a neutral attack. Out second is Espeon at level 73, it knows Psychic, Swift, Mudslap and Reflect. This is Red's only Gen 2 rep on his team, and it is a decent one. I said earlier that Espeon is basically Alakazam with better bulk and slightly worse special attack and speed. In regards to stats, it's great. However, the big downside comes from its move pool. Aside from Stab Psychic, which is awesome, don't get me wrong. Aside from that though, there's not a whole lot for Espeon to use. So we see Swift make another last second appearance, and Mudslap would honestly probably be better off instead being Standard Attack. Maybe. By being an attacking move, it does bypass the AI's 25% chance to fail status moves, but Mudslap only has 10 PP and can't hit flying types, so it's a bit of a toss-up. Either way, both are moves I wouldn't immediately consider to put on his premier special attacker. At least Reflect is a decent support option. It really bulks up Espeon's lower defense stat, and for the next Pokemon Red has. Now Red is using a properly powerful Pokemon, but it does suffer in the same way that Pikachu does. A few key types can basically wall it, like Dark and Steel. In fact, Steelix so far is looking pretty decent into Red's team. Out third is Snorlax at level 75. It knows Body Slam, Amnesia, Snore and Rest. Right, Snorlax is probably the hardest one to knock out. Its stats are really good in Gen 2. And for those who don't watch competitive, this is the best Pokemon in GSC OU. In fact, it's at least one of the best Pokemon in Ubers as well. Why? Well, Red is a few pieces of the puzzle. Rest to heal off any damage and status, and a strong normal stab move in Body Slam. These two things carry Snorlax into being one of his best mons. Unfortunately, the other two moves aren't too useful. I mean, Amnesia is nice to turn Snorlax's special defense from outstanding to Blissey 3.0, but Snorlax would much rather use Curse to boost its lower defense stats so nothing can take it out, all while boosting its attack further. And Snore is a weak normal move that doesn't provide any coverage. In fact, this is the third Pokemon that can be walled by Steelix. Good for them, eh? The worst problem with this moveset is Ghost types can 100% wall it. That being said, Snorlax is OP and there's only one Ghost type people will realistically use here. It's not the biggest downside, I suppose. Fourth is Venusaur at level 77. It knows Solar Beam, Giga Drain, Synthesis and Sunny Day. Bit of an Erika moment here. Gen 2 grass types using Sun is a bit sad, but it is a Venusaur that's very high leveled and has two moves that take advantage of the Sun. And we have Mono Grass offensive capabilities. Gen 2 Venusaur is a victim of Game Freak grass type hatred, and just giving them no coverage moves outside of normal. It doesn't even get to learn Sludge Bomb. Where's the justice in that? Fifth out is Charizard at level 77 with Flamethrower, Wing Attack, Slash and Fire Spin. Charizard at least has more coverage options than Venusaur. That Wing Attack is something, and Slash is okay kind of, though it wishes it had more special attacks it could learn instead. Lastly, Fire Spin. Well, trapping moves are really bad starting Gen 2. I mean, it's 70% accurate, 15 base power. It's basically a waste of a move slot. Overall, Charizard will probably be spamming Flamethrower and dealing out the damage with its base 109 special attack stat. The other moves are rarely going to outperform the Flamethrower spam. Definite room for improvement here. Lastly is Blastoise, also at level 77. It knows Surf, Blizzard, Whirlpool and Rain Dance. Firstly, Rain Dance is fair here. At least water types actually get boosted damage, and if the Venusaur set up Sunny Day earlier, if that's still active, it is a problem for him. With Blastoise's solid bulk and good typing, it's reasonable for it to get off a Rain Dance safely. Surf Stab of course is good. Blizzard is kinda shaky. This isn't Gen 1 where it's 90% accurate, it's 70% now. though the high power and freeze chance is very nice. Lastly, Whirlpool, just similar comments here as what I said about Fire Spin. It does get walled by fellow water types, but there aren't too many that would be able to hit it back for much either. So here's Red's team. Overall, level-wise, they're very competent, of course, likely out-leveling the player by 15 to 20 levels or so. As such, their team is very bulky and powerful. Poor coverage on some of them opens them up to being walled, but resisted hits could still pack a wallop if the resistant Pokemon is on the frailer side. It has great team diversity, not one type overlaps with each other. Therefore, each brings a moveset that vary greatly and give his team solid coverage overall, at the price of individually having certain hard counters. Since this is an intended hard mode and Red is the post-game super boss, I think we can take his team a bit further without even needing to change the levels much at all. His new lead is now Raichu. Just kidding, still Pikachu at level 81. It's holding a Light Ball and has the moves Thunderbolt, Surf, Reflect and Light Screen. Maybe a little odd seeing a Pikachu with these dual screens, but the idea is that it's high level, and high speed allow it to go first and become decently bulky from the get-go. I think the benefit to these moves is it prevents the AI from overusing them. The AI isn't the best at knowing when to set up and when it's time to attack. In terms of its attack, very simply stab Thunderbolt and Surf for the ground types. Light Ball only boosts special attack, so I wanted to avoid physical moves. Without the boost in power, they would be rather underwhelming. Our second is Snorlax at level 77. It's holding the leftovers and knows Body Slam, Shadow Ball, Curse and Rest. So I've been pretty nasty here. Leftovers, Curse, Rest, and now a way to hit every type. In-game players will know the terror of fighting Gen 2 Snorlax at its full power. Players will probably want to go into this fight with some non-standard strategies. I'll give you some freebies. How about Toxic with Encore? Or Disable could even help, even if it is inaccurate. Maybe Haze? Leech Seed would be nice for that big free heal every turn. Or of course you could always do Scope Lens, Focus Energy, Cross Chop Machamp. Might just do the trick. I think while this set is OP, it's still in the hands of an AI. So as such, don't get too freaked out. Just change your strategy up a bit, and that could be all you need to outplay it. Third out is Venusaur at level 79. It's holding a Miracle Seed and knows Razor Leaf, Giga Drain, Body Slam and Growth. You may be wondering why both Razor Leaf and Giga Drain. Well, it's simple. Giga Drain only has 5 PP, and I'm not convinced by the Sunny Day Solar Beam strat. Razor Leaf has 25 PP and only 5 less power and 5% less accuracy. After a few grows, that will become a very scary special sweeper, and it can try to boost past any resists. Though we still have Body Slam for some sort of non-grass type coverage. It's for Goat Synthesis, since I feel like a smart player will just play in the morning or night to make that move near useless. Lastly, Body Slam for some non-grass type offense, and the secondary chance to paralyze is really useful. Fourth is Charizard at level 79, holding a Charcoal. Its moves are Flamethrower, Earthquake, Wing Attack and Swords Dance. Trying to lean more into its physical coverage options here, we've given it Earthquake to help handle Rock and Electrics, and Swords Dance to patch up its middling attack to dizzying heights after just one turn. Of course, Stab Flamethrower is the go-to spam option, with Charcoal to make it that little bit stronger than before. Unfortunately, Wing Attack is about as good as we can do for Flying Stab, but at least it's Gen 2 Wing Attack instead of Gen 1 where it had 35 base power, for some reason. Fifth out is Blastoise at level 79, holding a Mystic Water. Its moves are Surf, Ice Beam, Earthquake and Rain Dance. We replaced Blizzard with the far more reliable Ice Beam, added Earthquake for a physical option, as well as to deal with electric types. That with Ice Beam deals with both of Water types weaknesses, and Rain Dance just for that boost in power, and also it's just not much of an incredible fourth move I could see working better for Blastoise. Last out is the only Pokemon that has been replaced. Instead of Espeon, you're greeted with Mewtwo. It's the lowest level in his team though at level 75, holding a Twisted Spoon, no Psychic, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Fighting and Recover. We have the obligatory Psychic, Thunderbolt to deal with most of Psychic's resists, Hidden Power Fighting for any special walls, and for Psychic's worst matchups in Steel and Dark. It'll be 70 base power of course, and we have Recover for longevity. This is the final test for the player. Its stats, as I'm sure you all know, are busted. No bad stat across the board. Mewtwo isn't accessible for the players in Gen 2, unless you trade it in I suppose, so it doesn't feel out of place to give Red one. It's his lowest level, as he catches it at level 70, but it's had 5 levels to train it up and give it some powerful moves. Here's Red's team. The Red fight is already memorable for its challenge, but for this hard mode version, I wanted to pretty much go all out. The level cap has not changed at all though, it's still level 81 on the Pikachu. Those other members are now a little bit closer to that level cap. This team is designed to encourage the player to diversify their strategies and use moves previously they might not have considered, since for the most part you can just muscle your way through this game. For experienced players, I hope this team can offer them a true challenge and feel very satisfying to win. That's it for this video, everyone. Word count wise, this is my longest one yet, so thank you all for sticking around for as long as you have. I think next up I'll try making a video on a different Pokemon topic, but of course I'll be casting a vote soon for the next generation to fix. I hope you all have a good day. See ya.